What the fuck are you talking about?
Holy shit, I was not prepared for this. What is this show? This show isn't good. It's not good. And the thing is, I should have had lower expectations than I did, but I'm just kind of used to the internet making every new cartoon seem like the worst thing ever for the past 20 fucking years because that's all they've been doing. But this show is like if all of the stupid ass, really not accurate criticisms against cartoons and whatnot turned out to be real, especially well, I guess the SJW ones. Basically, half the shows I've seen accused of being SJW propaganda. Or, no, all of them. None of them have actually been SJW propaganda until this one. But let me tell you, that is the least of this show's concerns. Like, by far, when I was watching it, I was a bit annoyed with some of the stuff they did. But I was like, okay, you know what, whatever. But I'm kind of way more annoyed with everything else. This is bad. This is poo-poo. This is not keck at all. This is cringe, and let me tell you why it's cringe. I can only see a sample episode because I don't want to cheat them, but I also don't want to give them money, and they gave me a sample and it's terrible. All I kind of wanted from the show was to be an adequate, parody of anime bullshit. I mean, you don't see the adult animation in the West very often, so that's unique. Especially Magical Girl, so that could be fun. Also, there might have been promises of a ongoing plot. I still think it'll go through Cerebus syndrome, but you never know. But I don't want to see it go through a plot because it's bad. One thing I do appreciate is that it does try to drop you into the plot and naturally introduce the characters very quickly, while also introducing, once again, the plot, which doesn't really go anywhere in this episode. This episode has a lot of subplots that kind of go nowhere for some reason, so I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and say they're going to affect the overall overarching plot for the whole season, stuff like that. Once again, I've seen Cerebus Syndrome shows before. They do this stuff a lot. What they don't do is the slang.
It's called The Grind Nut. Ever heard of it?
I can't even start applying to programming jobs until I make my vision board, and I really should make a mood board to set the tone for my vision board.
No, Alex.
You know I need Carla St. Beverly's easy listening smooth jazz jams to focus.
Then take it into your own room, Mom.
This is a very cliche critique, but most of the show is references and slang, and I don't think anyone talks like this. I don't even think these even fit archetypes. They like combine multiple archetypes together, and none of them are fun archetypes. They're all just asshole character archetypes. Even if you say they're supposed to be assholes, that's cliche, and that's a cliche that isn't going to be done very well over and over and over again if it's an asshole thing. If you're an asshole, that's not funny. You have to add a lot more depth to it, and you have to hook on people. Even when people praise BoJack Horseman, they admit the first 6 episodes suck, partially because BoJack, if you're an asshole character, you need more development so that people don't just think of you as an asshole. Being an asshole is a negative trait, not only from a narrative perspective, but to the audience.
I have foot picks and forged celebrity paraphernalia to sell.
Forged?
Who's to say these aren't Ariana's Band-Aids? Who among us can claim Kylie did not get a stress-induced nosebleed on these tissues after hearing the new Kanye?
This is obviously supposed to, I guess, parody someone, but this is such an obscure niche that I don't even know what they're talking about. Social commentary works best if people can understand what you're mocking, or if it's something obscure, either show it to said audience who would understand, or just put it in the background, not one of the main characters. It's a quick joke and there isn't much to it. It's kind of badly animated, but I at least appreciate the charm in that kind of weird crab walk there. Split second, but it's worth noting. Also, I ain't showing the part where she genuinely takes pictures of her overly detailed feet. Why?
A little privacy nut. I can't sell pictures of my 5-star wiki feed with you in the background.
Very well. I will begin the mission myself. Sounds good.
So the stupid ass panda goes to find the offensive stereotype of the gay person. And, you know, I feel like that might work better in Family Guy. That's supposed to be offensive, but I genuinely can't tell if this is mocking these people or if it's supposed to be for these people. Given some of the political jokes I've seen, I can't fucking tell. This is very tone deaf. Tone is about understanding your audience. This does not.
Whoa, Pokemon Go has gotten really fucking good.
Given how long animation takes to create and record and write, they probably saw the whole Pokemon Go to the polls thing fucking happen in production. And that's a very quick joke you can take out. They intentionally left that in. You wanna know why? You wanna know why? It's a very common tactic that I see a lot of these days. It was intentionally supposed to be bad. It was gonna be ironically memed, and everyone would be talking about it because of how cringe it is, but then it'd be free advertising for the show. Problem is that the show has too many fucking terrible references. I'm not even sure if that worked, because the goddamn Trump impersonation that we'll talk about later, that overshadowed everything in the show. Yeah, well, once again, we'll get to it. It's so bad, so bad.
Aggregon.
And that's the end of that subplot. I feel like there were better ways to construct it to appease both an ongoing narrative and an individual episode, but I digress. Maybe there isn't. Who knows? I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Also forgot to mention how bad the references are in terms of visually. Everything I see is an obnoxious reference or a stereotype of college people. So there's a minute-long sequence where they're selling and buying fake odor celebrity objects and talking about and getting excited about it. Who relates to this? What? Is this even I mean, I'm guessing it's a thing, but I'm guessing it's not like this Twitter user stereotype thing. Are they the same kind of people? Is this Stan? Why would you want to rate to fucking Stans? Stans are bad. Why they don't need a fucking show. They're gonna turn off any normal person on the planet. Like, this entire thing just keeps going and going. And it's like, it's not even, like, the plot's so poorly structured, this kind of gets dropped too, sort of. I guess it's kind of resolved in this scene, but this is midway through the episode and the main conflict hasn't really come through yet.
Celebrity baby D!
Dude, we have magic.
Tom Selleck Bond. Saliva swap with Kristen Stewart.
Birth control. Something for the boomers.
Tessa Thompson used flossers.
Idris Elba grocery list.
Chalamet thong.
Rihanna's bidet.
Damn, Star Junk. That's rent, utilities, and I can finally pay you back for the money you lent me last year that I didn't tell you about till now.
Man, I wish we could keep the Rihanna bidet.
There should be a cartoon community bingo sheet that has the following: like blank but on crack, something Flash related, and the creator must have been on drugs.
We don't have to worry about being shamed by him, since Veritas Joe deleted his video like in 2 hours after I upload my response to him. So anyways, the creators are on crack. Okay, that's too harsh, I know. So let me actually add some more constructive criticism to that whole thing. I do not know who they are referencing, and they're throwing a lot of references out there, but it's almost as if they act like it's a normal thing for birth control, something for the boomers. Isn't that a thing the youth like? Don't the boomers, they're already in their 50s or whatever? The fuck? The boomers, they're in their 50s. So, they're not having as many kids. Then they're just throwing in as many references to celebrities as possible, with all of them being... what is the correlation? I don't understand. And is there magic making celebrity things, or is it making fakes? Why are they naming them after celeb? How does this magic system work? I don't think they had the pilot be free, so That's, I'm gonna blame them because, I want to see a sample before I see the rest of the show, and you can't even give me an explanation for the rest of the show in said sample, and the rest of it's this bad. No, fuck you. I'm not gonna research and I'm not gonna look at the pilot. This is terrible. This is trash. This is trash and terrible because it's borderline incomprehensible with all these references. This sounds like if I haven't had taco night this bad since Gex raped the 90s. The animation in the show, side note, is very inconsistent. Sometimes it's really good, like the segment I'm showing you. A lot of movement, it looks consistent most of the frames, and it conveys a lot of bounce and a conveyation. Even if they aren't impacting anything, you could feel that the arms themselves would impact something, and it goes through so much in such a short amount of time. Meanwhile, we'll get to some examples of bad animation later.
Tell you what, your cute little panda face in the background of one photo got more profile views than that time Cardi B followed me and I posted a screen cap of it, and then I realized it was just a Cardi B fan account and I had to apologize to everyone for the false alarm.
I want to die.
Can't believe they had to halt the entire plot line just for some more terrible college references and ranting. It's almost like one of my fucking videos, and I hate my videos.
Fail to see how this is relevant?
You let me take more pictures of you for my Star Junks Instagram page, and I'll tell you about Aggregon.
Deal.
One thing weird I've noticed too that is also inconsistent with the references is that they're able to reference some real Earthworld properties and companies like Instagram, but they're not able to reference something like Starbucks. It's so weird. So weird.
But I feel objectified.
Welcome to Womanhood on Earth.
Even if you are one of those people who whenever there's an asshole protagonist or an annoying protagonist, you say that's the point, hear me out. This show is like the first time if someone would say to me that something looks like Tumblr, I'd believe you. Most of the time, I don't think that quote-unquote Tumblr or CalArt style shows look like that. They have to bend over backwards and use mental gymnastics just to justify their own fucking points. To the point where it's like, oh yeah, I know this has literally nothing to do with CalArt style, but let me talk about how it's a good buzzword, I guess? I don't even understand these people half the time. So, it fails as a Tumblr show because the character's being quote-unquote objectified or like complaining about capitalism or yada yada. They demonstrate hypocrisy in their actions. Yeah, I know I say that word all the fucking time, but it's true. For someone complaining about being objectified, they've been sniffing celebrity panties all episode for some reason. I don't get that. It still weirds me out. Is that a thing? Like, honest question, people. I've never heard of it until now. I'm sure it's a thing, but why are they acting like it's common? If it's supposed to be criticizing them, it also kind of fails because it combines these archetypes that make no sense together. Yeah, sure, you got the Tumblr weirdos, but once again, they have this weird-ass perverted thing with, like, celebrity clothing, which I don't think that's a thing that, weirdos on Tumblr do. They don't, at least with mainstream celebrities. I don't understand. And it's, like, not just, and the one scene demonstrated, it's not just how they sell it and scam other people. They actually enjoy it, too, or the one girl does. It's so confusing. Nothing about the show really functions. It's so contradictory and paradoxical. It just does not function. No way you look at it is a good interpretation because every interpretation doesn't just fall flat. Its themes, messages, and what it's trying to satirize also falls flat because they keep colliding and clashing in a way that is not functional. It just does not function, at least from the episode I have seen.
I'll catch up with you guys once all this inventory gets picked up.
Tom Selleck Bong, Tiny Panda Cowboy Hat.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo. I knew it was you. Shooby-Dooby-Dooby-Doo.
Editing ain't good either. It just cuts from a really bad random joke with no setup or punchline to just her dancing immediately. It's like she instant transmission to the kitchen with that song and dance going on. Like the editing, that's not good editing either. It kind of confuses the audience, you know?
You guys didn't hear any singing out there, right?
No. We're here for a Star Drunk pickup.
One baggie of Miley Cyrus toenail clippings, as promised.
There's being out of touch with reality and what people want. Then there's thinking that people want a bag of Miley Cyrus toenail clippings all the time. So the teenagers introduce themselves in very tell not show ways with profiles from the 90s or something. I don't get why they did it like that. I mean, I guess I do, but it also just does not flow. It breaks up the pacing. It's also introducing characters in the middle of the episode, so it makes it a lot less stylish. Unless, of course, this is one thing I might have to watch the other episodes to judge. Maybe they introduce every character like this, so at least there'd be some stylistic consistency. If not, what the hell? Oh yeah, check out that animation. 3 characters becoming one bobbing figure. Let's go!
Is it really you?
What the fuck is this?
Okay, that was pretty funny. So the Tanuki thing explains that she created this world via really awkward looking internet parody, acting like a moody-faced teenager. So, okay, whatever. That's weird. I don't like it. I don't like everything about this universe being so referential, but hey, give it style points. It's not a style for me. I don't think there's anything innately wrong with this, per se. Some of the animation in this segment is actually really good. It's really fluid and it just ebbs and flows naturally. It doesn't feel as stiff as most of the episode has up until this point. Also, I gotta give props. Unlike the anime it's parodying, which I don't even get how it's a parody at this point, at least the teenagers look like teenagers.
The infinite grind line. Grind, my beauties. Grind for our queen.
This is not necessary. Please, we can discuss a future visit.
This is super fucked up, Alex. What do we do?
I don't know. I can't.
So they beat the evil teens with some foreshadowed stuff that kind of makes sense. And it's the character's weakness turning into a strength, so I guess that's good ironic writing. But it's like, whatever. This is all bad, so the satisfaction of the ending is tainted.
New outfits this time?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's not a magical girl anime or parody without blowing the budget in there. I know I've complimented the animation more than I've criticized it, but it really is choppy because there's not many tweens to give the illusion of movement, and there really aren't many in-between frames to signal some actual movement. It's not as bad as the clip we're about to show. That was a promo for the show. That isn't a part of this mediocre to bad episode, and it is much, much worse. This is what the internet is blowing up about, for good reason. It's hilariously bad. Believe it or not, that joke I made at the beginning is kind of important to this whole thing. I had to line up every piece of animation, every frame to match the head as best as I could, which isn't the best. But I got to see every frame because of it. The necks are too long, it doesn't understand depth very well. The proportions seem off. The way it uses squash and stretch does not work because only parts of her are squashing and stretching. The way she turns her head is inconsistent. Why is it off to the side in such a way? You feel the object being turned opposed to it feeling like a person is turning a part of their body. It just feels like the oval was angled slightly to the right. So there isn't any fluidity, there aren't really any smears. Let's just look at the whole clip in its entirety to really emphasize the quality. Also keep in mind this is a clip that's out of context, so this confused me more than anything I just saw today, but it's not the clip's fault necessarily. 1 second in and there's a huge problem. Literal second. Debatably a second and a half. I have to criticize the animation, and it hurts because I know this is better than what I can do. Here is the industry standard. I never see people compliment 12 FPS. I counted 8 in a second and a half. Here are all the frames. Look at the space in between them as the door opens. Look at it. The last one just straight up just blanks out. These are cheap tricks I do in my editing. Make it faster, add some smears, make sure you screenshot better than I do. Either way, the frame rate is genuinely at 8 FPS the whole time. It does remind me of an animatic a lot, which isn't a good thing, and I feel bad because I know how just impractical the animation industry is. It expects you to just never take shortcuts. That's what people want. They want you to slave your life away. And I'm probably gonna make shortcuts that will look horrible and stuff I'll make as well. And they will be problems with what I will make as well. And my drawings will be way worse than this. But I bumped my mic. Funny. And this is still, like, if I wanna be a fair critic and an artist, I'm never gonna be able to not be a hypocrite. That's how, because if you're a fair critic, you'll criticize something and everything, you know, and you won't leave biases on the side.
Girls, so glad you can make it. Come on over here.
My face went orange man bad. Thing is, this guy is a good Trump impersonation.
Girls, I gotta tell you, you did a great job. Couldn't be more impressed with these girls. Honestly, I told my assistant Virus, I said, Virus, these girls, we gotta get these girls in here.
Too bad they forgot about the background so I can chroma key it for copyright.
You're an assistant? Ouch.
2 frames, 1 second. That's bad. Not only that, but this is facial expression in a joke, in a comedy. You should do a lot better than 2 frames. That is bad. Like, it almost has some ironic value. The thing is, I actually kind of like this guy as a villain from what I'm seeing if he wasn't a dated caricature. And I say dated because why the hell do people keep making Trump jokes based on a narrative in the election years that rely on them being right? If South Park can't do it, you sure as hell can't. I'm really sorry, but South Park is one of the most praised commentaries of all time, and that was their most notorious blunder of all time. You guys are gonna fail. Now, I should at least explain why I find this character to be interesting in the first place. The way he talks, he's kind of just, they do capture the businessman aspect and how casual he is. He's not antagonistic in his approach, even when telling people horrible things. That's unique. Also, if you're going to parody or deconstruct the magical girl genre, it's kind of a clever way to do it, to make the main villain this almost Shin Megami Tensei-esque creature that just goes around destroying universes, not thinking of itself as evil, but just kind of business, just as like, yeah, the creators, they create these chaotic and evil areas, and he's almost like this Lovecraftian construction worker who tears down the bad things that people try to make the universe into something a lot more. They keep trying to improve things, like with the political ideologies that humans have, but they all have flaws and they all hurt more people in the process. But then So he just kind of wants to go back to the way things were in the very beginning, which means no innate flaws, just how, I guess, the creator's creator intended, I suppose. If that makes any sense. I don't even know if my interpretation is correct. Once again, this is an out of context clip. Also, this is kind of ballsy of them. They reveal it's actually too ballsy. It's kind of stupid. They reveal in a clip for an upcoming show, and it's out of context, so I don't know the full details, that they're fucking one of the main characters, the mentor character, is dead. And he killed him in his first appearance. That's the implication. That's kind of a big spoiler, but it's also kind of ballsy. I gotta respect that, to kill a main character so seemingly early. Maybe they come back to life, who knows. But either way, it's just kind of a weird thing to show in a clip. It's really, I don't get why they do that. I mean, I'm kind of interested, to be fair, so the clip did that. It manages to create a surprisingly unnerving tension in the scene. It's kind of good at the whole tension thing, which is a surprise. And it makes this guy sinister, contrasting his horrible actions with just acting like a businessman. It's kind of compelling in a weird way. Guess what makes it not compelling?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Who is this guy?
Not only is the animation in this scene a lot worse than the episode we talked about, but the voice acting is also bad. Especially on the white girl in particular. I can't understand what she's saying. I'm guessing these are not the same main characters, and these are, I don't know, it's kind of like an Avatar thing, reincarnation. A lot of anime do that anyways, so I guess it makes sense for a magical girl reference. I don't know, to be fair. And I can't judge that against the clip, to be fair. But what I can is that no matter the context, that voice acting is bad, and no matter the context, these characters react quite apathetically to this other character who, at the very least, was trying to communicate to them because they know their name. They seem kind of apathetic towards that, so they're like, oh, this person, you just killed this person who's, I guess, a creator. What the fuck? That's not compelling. That just seems like the characters are disattached, so the mood is being set for this kind of dramatic scene, and it's a lot less comedic than the other scenes, so you kind of destroyed it there. To be perfectly fair, I was probably too nice on this thing, but I do want to be fair. A lot of people talk about things as if it's all negative or all positive, and a lot of the negative stuff just was every clip. So I didn't want to be too redundant like it was watching this godforsaken thing. The good things were there, and they were less redundant because they stuck out more. That is the problem. The bad things I mentioned were constant issues. I couldn't understand the dialogue because it was all references to things I'm not even sure exist. The animation is jaggedy. The story structure is all over the place. The jokes are very cliche, and it's even cliche calling them cliche. So it's not very enjoyable. It's in terms of seeing new stuff. Do I recommend it? You might be surprised. I kinda do. This thing was something I knew was going to be bad going into it. I was optimistic, but very cautiously. I basically knew it was dead by the time I saw the Trump clip. My God, that Trump clip. It was tough not to just burst out laughing, not at the actual jokes, but to be like, wow, this is real? Wow, they actually are this incomprehensible. If you like watching YouTube poops, maybe you'll like this. It's got about the same frame rate as a YouTube poop. It's got worse editing, but it's also equally random. I like YouTube poops. You like YouTube poops? Yes, you do. So, I mean, if anyone's gonna say I'm triggered by this shit, though, quite the contrary. This stuff is actually hilarious. I do recommend it. It is genuinely funny how bad it is. Especially this one thing I never even talked about in the entire video. You gotta check this out. Like, you gotta see it to believe it. They contradict the fact that they are a magical girl parody right down to their title, and offend their target audience by grouping them with sweaty nerds wearing GamerGate and Pepe shirts. I'm not even kidding. This is... how tone deaf do you have to be to alienate your audience, like all of your audience, on something like that? I give this show a 3.75 out of 10. Closer to a 3.76 than a 3.74 if it makes you feel any better. Goodbye.